Ilara Voss was a legend in the corporate world, a CEO who never smiled, never faltered, and never let anyone get too close. Her life was precise, controlled, perfect. Until the day she saw her. Mina Reyes, the creative intern with a laugh that shouldn't exist in a boardroom, a chaos of ideas spilling across sticky notes and sketches, and a presence that made the impossible feel effortless. Ilara didn't just notice her. She couldn't stop. One glance became a second. A second became a week. And now, the cold CEO was breaking all her rules, and she didn't know how to stop. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing isn't failure, scandal, or loss. Sometimes, it's wanting someone you're not supposed to want at all. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more romantic stories. The top floor of the glass tower was always quiet. Not peaceful, just controlled. Precise. Every movement inside Virex Global Holdings followed structure, discipline, and the unspoken rules set by its CEO: no distractions, no emotions, no mistakes. At least, that was how Ilara Voss liked it. She was known for her sharp decisions, her unreadable expression, and the way people straightened their posture when she entered a room. No one had ever seen her laugh. Few had heard her speak more than necessary. And yet, for the past 3 weeks, Ilara had been breaking her own rules. It started with a meeting she hadn't planned to attend. A junior staff presentation, something far beneath her level. She had only stepped in because her schedule shifted unexpectedly. That's what she told herself. That's what she kept telling herself. Because the moment she walked in, her attention locked onto one person. Mina Reyes. She wasn't the most polished speaker in the room. Her slides weren't perfect. She stumbled once, even laughed softly at herself. And that was it. That small, unguarded laugh. Ilara had never seen anything like it in her company. No fear. No calculation. Just warmth. Since then, she found reasons. Small ones at first. Passing by the design department. Reviewing reports she would normally delegate. Standing a little longer than necessary by the glass corridor overlooking Mina's workspace. Watching. Always watching. She told herself it was curiosity. Mina worked differently, colorful notes, messy sketches, ideas scattered like constellations across her desk. Chaos. And yet, it worked. Projects Mina touched started standing out. Not louder. Not flashier. Just, alive. Ilara didn't understand it. Which bothered her. So she kept watching. Mina noticed. Of course she did. At first, she thought it was coincidence. The CEO walking by once? Normal. Twice? Maybe. 7 times in one day? Okay, Mina whispered to herself, peeking over her monitor, either I'm in trouble, or she's lost. Her friend nudged her. She's staring again. Mina froze. Ilara Voss does not stare, she muttered. She judges. Silently. Like a very expensive statue. But when Mina dared to glance up, their eyes met. And for the briefest second, Ilara didn't look cold. She looked caught. The CEO turned away immediately and walked on, heels clicking with perfect rhythm. But Mina's heart did something strange. Because that look, it wasn't judgment. It was something softer. Something searching. Something that lingered long after Ilara disappeared down the hall. The next day, Mina found a note on her desk. No signature. Just a single line. Your presentation lacked structure, but your ideas were compelling. Mina blinked at it. Compelling, she repeated, smiling slowly. That's basically a love confession in CEO language. Her friend choked on coffee. You're delusional. Maybe, Mina said, folding the note carefully, but I'm also right. Ilara, meanwhile, stood in her office, staring down at the city. She shouldn't have written it. It crossed a line. A personal one. And yet, it felt insufficient. Words weren't enough. Observing wasn't enough. Understanding Mina had become important. More important than quarterly projections. More important than investor meetings. More important than anything she could explain. Ilara exhaled slowly. Then, for the first time in years, she made an impulsive decision. She picked up her phone. Schedule a one-on-one meeting, she said calmly. With Mina Reyes. There was a pause on the other end. The intern, ma'am? Yes. Ilara's voice didn't waver. But her fingers tightened slightly around the phone. Tomorrow. The next afternoon, Mina stood outside the CEO's office. She stared at the door. Then at her reflection. Then back at the door. Okay, she whispered, either I'm getting promoted, or erased from existence. She knocked. Come in. Mina stepped inside. The office was exactly what she expected, clean, minimal, intimidating. And behind the desk sat Ilara Voss. Perfect posture. Calm expression. But her eyes. They softened, just slightly, the moment they landed on Mina. Sit, Ilara said. Mina did. Silence stretched. Not uncomfortable. Just, full. Ilara studied her. Closer now. No glass. No distance. Every small detail became clearer, the way Mina's fingers fidgeted slightly, the way her eyes moved curiously around the room, the quiet confidence beneath her casual demeanor. You intrigue me, Ilara said finally. Mina blinked. That's not usually how these meetings start. I'm aware. Another pause. Then Mina smiled. Well, you've been watching me for weeks, she said lightly. I figured something was up. Ilara didn't deny it. I wanted to understand how you think, she replied. Mina tilted her head. And have you figured it out? Ilara leaned forward slightly. For the first time, there was no distance between them. No, she said quietly. But I want to. Something shifted in the air. Subtle. Unspoken. But undeniable. Mina felt it. Ilara felt it. Neither moved. Neither looked away. And then. Mina leaned in just a little, resting her chin lightly on her hand. So, she said softly. Are you going to keep watching me from afar, or are you finally going to do something about it? Ilara's breath hitched, just barely. A crack in perfect composure. A moment no one else had ever seen. Her gaze dropped briefly to Mina's lips. Then back to her eyes. And just as Ilara opened her mouth to answer, there was a knock at the door. Sharp. Interrupting. Reality crashing back in. Ilara, the board is here. Silence. Neither of them moved. The moment hung there, fragile, unfinished. Ilara didn't look away from Mina. Mina didn't break eye contact. And for the first time in her perfectly controlled life, Ilara hesitated. Because walking away now meant returning to the version of herself that never risked anything. But staying would change everything. Mina's voice dropped to a whisper. Well? The door handle began to turn. And Ilara had exactly 1 second to decide. Would she step back into her cold, untouchable world? Or step forward into something she didn't understand, but couldn't stop wanting? The door opened. Ma'am, the board. Cancel it. The assistant froze. So did Mina. Ilara didn't raise her voice. She didn't repeat herself. But something in her tone, steady, unwavering, left no room for argument. The meeting will be rescheduled, Ilara added, eyes never leaving Mina. Inform them it's non-negotiable. A pause. Yes, ma'am. The door closed. Silence returned. But it wasn't the same silence as before. This one felt chosen. Mina leaned back slightly, studying her, a slow smile forming. Wow, she murmured. You just scared a room full of powerful people without even being there. Ilara exhaled softly, as if releasing something she had held in for years. They'll recover. And you? Mina asked gently. That question lingered longer than any boardroom demand ever had. Ilara stepped out from behind her desk. Not as a CEO. Just as herself. I don't know, she admitted. It was the most honest thing she had said in a very long time. Mina's expression softened. That's okay, she said. You don't always have to know everything. Ilara stopped a few steps away from her. Close enough now that the distance felt intentional rather than necessary. I've built my life on knowing, Ilara replied quietly. Predicting outcomes. Controlling variables. And how's that working for this? Mina asked, her voice warm, teasing, but careful. Ilara looked at her. Really looked. At this point, she said, I have no control at all. Mina laughed softly. Good. Ilara raised an eyebrow. Good? Yeah, Mina said, standing up now, closing the small gap between them. Because if you did, it wouldn't be real. The words landed deeper than Mina probably realized. Ilara's gaze flickered, searching her face, not for answers this time, but for something else. Permission. Or maybe courage. You're not like anyone here, Ilara said. I hope that's not a complaint. It's not, Ilara replied, her voice quieter now. It's the reason I couldn't look away. Mina's breath caught, just slightly. For once, she didn't have a quick response. Didn't deflect with humor. She simply held Ilara's gaze. Then don't, she said softly. And just like that, the last barrier broke. Ilara reached out, slow enough to stop if she needed to, but she didn't. Her fingers brushed against Mina's. Warm. Real. Unplanned. Mina didn't pull away. Instead, she stepped closer. You know, Mina murmured, for someone who's been watching me this long, you're surprisingly shy. I'm not shy, Ilara said, though there was the faintest hint of uncertainty in her voice. Mina smiled. Then prove it. Ilara didn't hesitate this time. Her hand moved, gently but deliberately, resting at Mina's waist. And when Mina leaned in, Ilara met her halfway. The kiss was soft. Careful. Like both of them were learning something new at the exact same moment. But it didn't stay that way for long. Because once it happened, once that first boundary was crossed, everything else followed naturally. Mina's hand slid up to Ilara's shoulder, steadying her. Ilara pulled her closer, as if afraid she might disappear. The world outside, the company, the expectations, the version of Ilara Voss everyone knew, faded into nothing. There was only this. Only them. When they finally pulled apart, the air felt different. Lighter. Mina smiled first. So, she said softly, what happens now, CEO? Ilara let out a quiet breath. For the first time in years, she didn't answer immediately. She thought about it. Not in terms of strategy. Not in terms of risk. But in terms of what she wanted. Then she made another decision. I stepped down from watching, Ilara said. Mina tilted her head. Oh. And start being part of your world instead. Mina's smile widened. That sounds a lot more interesting. It is, Ilara agreed. There was a brief pause. Comfortable this time. Easy. Then Mina glanced toward the door, then back at Alara. You know, she said casually, people are definitely going to notice something's up. They already have, Alara replied. And you're okay with that? Alara looked at her, really looked. Then, without hesitation. Yes. Mina studied her for a moment longer. Then nodded, satisfied. Good, she said. Because I don't feel like being a secret. You won't be, Alara assured her. Another silence settled in. But this one didn't feel like an ending. It felt like the beginning of something neither of them had planned. But both were ready to choose. Mina reached for her hand again, intertwining their fingers naturally this time. So, what's first? She asked. Alara glanced at the city beyond the glass walls. Then back at Mina. A small, rare smile touched her lips. Lunch, she said. Mina blinked. Lunch? Yes. That's your big plan? For now. Mina laughed, shaking her head. You really are new to this. Very, Alara admitted. Mina squeezed her hand. Don't worry, she said. I'll teach you. And as they walked toward the door together. No longer CEO and intern. No longer observer and observed. But something equal. Something chosen. Alara Voss realized something quietly, deeply, and without fear. For the first time in her perfectly controlled life. She wasn't watching anymore. She was finally living.